Beneath the sands of forgotten empires and the scriptures of sacred texts, there slithers a symbol that has both terrified and enlightened humanity for millennia. The serpent, feared as the deceiver, revered as the divine, dismissed as mere animal, has always been more than what it seems. But what if the snake wasn't just a creature of flesh and fang, but a code, a whisper from the ancient world, hiding in plain sight? From the Garden of Eden to the temples of Egypt, from Hindu cosmology to the medicine wheels of the Americas, the serpent appears again and again, not as an accident, but as an anchor for consciousness, for transformation, for life itself. It coils through our myths, our DNA, even the very structure of the cosmos. And yet, most of us have only ever seen the shadow of its meaning. Is it the tempter, the healer, the guardian of sacred gates? Or could it be something far more profound? A living metaphor for awakening. In this episode, we descend into the symbolic underworld to uncover the real meaning of the serpent in ancient cultures. Not the version you've heard in Sunday school or seen on the museum wall, but the esoteric korgan known to mystics, shamans, and initiates across the ages. We'll trace the serpent's trail through the mystery schools of Egypt, the Kundalini spirals of India, the Ouroboros of the alchemists, and the dragon lore of the East. We'll decode how it came to represent both creation and destruction, wisdom and chaos, duality and unity. And most importantly, we'll reveal what it means for you, here and now. Because the serpent is not just an ancient symbol, it is an invitation myth. An invitation to shed your skin, to awaken hidden forces, to remember what you were before the world told you what to be. So, are you ready to enter the coil? Long before the serpent was demonized, it was divinized. In the sacred temples of ancient Egypt, the cobra, Uraeus, rose from the forehead of pharaohs, not as a mark of fear, but as a sign of divine sovereignty and awakened consciousness. This serpent, often associated with the goddess Wadjet, represented the Kundalini force, the inner fire coiled at the base of the spine, waiting to rise and illuminate the mind's eye. It wasn't just a symbol, it was a living energy within the initiate. In India, this idea matured into the sacred concept of Kundalini Shakti, the serpent power. Yogic texts describe this as a dormant spiritual energy, coiled 3.5 times at the base of the spine, which, when awakened, ascends through the chakras, unlocking higher states of awareness. The serpent here is not evil, it is the very path to enlightenment. Travel further west to Greece, and you find the serpent wrapped around the staff of Asclepius, the god of healing, a symbol still used in modern medicine. To the alchemists of Europe, the Ouroboros, a serpent devouring its own tail, was the eternal cycle of death and rebirth, the unity of opposites, the one thing from which all is born, and to which all returns. Even the Mesoamerican cultures, such as the Aztecs and Maya, venerated the feathered serpent deity, Quetzalcoatl, as a bringer of knowledge and civilization. Here, the serpent took flight, symbolizing the marriage of earthly wisdom and divine insight. And yet, how did this universal symbol of transformation and wisdom become associated with temptation and evil? The answer lies in cultural shifts, where esoteric truths were buried beneath layers of dogma and fear. In Judeo-Christian tradition, the serpent becomes the great deceiver of Eden. But even this tale has Gnostic undercurrents. Some early Christian mystics viewed the serpent not as the villain, but as the bringer of knowledge, the one who liberated Adam and Eve from unconscious innocence, offering the spark of self-awareness. So, what happened? As ancient mystery traditions faded and institutional religions rose, the serpent's power had to be recast, tamed, or vilified. For a creature that represents self-realization, sexual energy, healing, and transcendence, it was too dangerous for those who wished to control narratives. What was once sacred was made sinful. What was once a gateway was turned into a warning sign. Yet, across cultures, continents, and centuries, the serpent survived. In symbols, in scriptures, in whispers passed down through secret schools of initiation. And the message remains: the serpent is not here to deceive you, it's here to wake you up. Imagine this. Beneath the surface of every ancient myth, sacred painting and forgotten scroll lies a coded message, a riddle designed not for the average mind but for the seeker, and at the heart of many of these riddles is the serpent. Why? Because the serpent is not just a symbol, it is a living archetype, a multi-layered metaphor for transformation, knowledge, and the duality of existence. Let's begin with its most apparent characteristic: shedding its skin. This single act is perhaps the purest symbol of spiritual rebirth. In every tradition where the serpent appears, it points to one core truth. To awaken, you must die to who you were. Just as the serpent sloughs off its old form, the seeker must discard old beliefs, egoic attachments, and worn-out identities. In Hindu Tantra, this is visualized as Kundalini energy, a serpent coiled at the base of your spine, dormant, silent, waiting. When activated through breathwork, meditation, or ritual, it ascends the spinal column, piercing energy centers known as chakras, each representing a different dimension of human consciousness. But this isn't mere metaphor, it's physiological and energetic. Ancient yogis described the Sushumna, Ida, and Pingala, three main energy channels. Ida and Pingala weave around the spine like two serpents, just like the caduceus staff of Hermes. And at the moment of true spiritual awakening, these serpents rise and converge at the crown, opening the thousand-petaled lotus, the realm beyond thought, beyond form. The serpent then becomes the path itself. In the Gnostic tradition, often suppressed by mainstream Christianity, the serpent in Eden was not Satan, it was Sophia, divine wisdom, descending into matter to liberate humanity from spiritual ignorance. The forbidden fruit was not sin, it was self-awareness. The serpent became the initiator, not the deceiver. Why does this change the entire story? Because it reframes the Garden of Eden not as a paradise lost, but as a womb of potential. And the serpent? The midwife of evolution. And now we must ask, is this why the serpent has been feared? Because it dares to offer unfiltered truth, the kind that dismantles illusion and burns through false authority. In alchemy, the Ouroboros, the serpent eating its own tail, is often drawn encircling the prima materia, the first matter. This cyclical serpent represents eternity, the unity of opposites, the sacred marriage of life and death, light and dark, male and female. It whispers, nothing is separate. All is one. All is evolving. In this light, the serpent is not an enemy, but a mirror. It reflects your fear or your freedom. It challenges you to look within, to transmute your lower nature into divine essence, not through escape but through integration, through fire, through self-confrontation. That's why, even in modern energy healing systems, the serpent spiral remains central. The double helix of our DNA, the coiled strands of life itself, mirror the same ancient wisdom, that growth is not linear, it spirals. That truth unfolds in layers, that the wisdom of the ancients is encoded not just in books, but in your very biology. So the serpent's message is simple. You are the temple, you are the alchemical fire, and the key to unlocking it has been hidden in plain sight, coiled at the base of your spine. But this is only the beginning. The serpent beyond fear, secrets hidden in plain sight. If the first part of the journey revealed the serpent as a symbol of transformation, rebirth, and inner energy, then this second part must unearth the secrets that were buried deliberately, the truths twisted, misunderstood, or hidden from the public eye. Let us begin in ancient Egypt. There the serpent took many forms, none more iconic than the uraeus, a rearing cobra rising from the pharaoh's crown. But why a snake on the head of a divine king? Because the uraeus was not just ornament, it represented the eye of Ra, the inner sight awakened through enlightenment. It signified Kundalini risen, divine authority earned through spiritual mastery, not political power. And what guarded the entrances to the Egyptian temples? Two coiled serpents, left and right, mirroring the dual forces of nature. This duality shows up again and again, masculine and feminine, chaos and order, shadow and light. The serpent stands not for evil, but for balance. It is the cosmic thread binding all polarities. Now consider Mesoamerican culture. The feathered serpent god Quetzalcoatl embodied both earth, the snake, and sky, the feathers, a divine hybrid, symbolizing transcendence of duality. He was a bringer of knowledge, a civilizer, a teacher of astronomy, agriculture, and inner discipline. Again, the serpent is not a deceiver, but an initiator. In fact, this archetype repeats in Greek mythology as well. Recall the Oracle of Delphi, originally guarded by the great serpent Python, defeated by Apollo not to destroy the wisdom, but to inherit its secrets. Even the rod of Asclepius, used in medicine to this day, features a single serpent entwined around a staff, healing through knowledge, the sacred spiral of health and regeneration. So how did we come to fear the serpent? It was a rebranding. Religions and empires realized that serpent wisdom empowered the individual. It was inward, experiential, uncontrolled by priest or king, and so it had to be demonized. In the book of Genesis, the serpent becomes the villain. But even here the story contradicts itself, because without the serpent there is no fall, no awareness, no choice. The serpent's bite is the price of consciousness. And if we look through a Gnostic lens, it was not Satan but divine wisdom in disguise, offering humanity the spark to awaken. Across traditions, one theme endures. The serpent initiates the hero into truth. It tempts, yes, but only those ready to rise. The snake tests your attachment to illusion. It strikes only at the ego. Take the myth of the Naga in Eastern traditions, semi-divine serpentine beings who guard treasure and knowledge. They live underground, in the subconscious realms, and they only reveal their secrets to those who have passed the trials of discipline and humility. Isn't that the same story told in every mystery school? The initiate descends into the darkness, symbolic of the unknown, the subconscious, the underworld, and emerges transformed, bearing knowledge once hidden. And always, somewhere along that path, a serpent awaits, coiled, watching, waiting. In modern times, we might scoff at serpent worship, but perhaps the joke is on us, because the true serpent has not vanished. It's in our DNA. It's in the electromagnetic coil of our spine. It's in the double helix of life, the spirals of galaxies, the patterns of sacred geometry. It whispers from the fractals of nature, encoded into the very architecture of creation. And the question it asks is always the same. Are you ready to shed your skin? Are you ready to see what lies beyond the illusion? This is not a comfortable journey, but the serpent doesn't care about comfort, it cares about truth. And truth always bites first, then heals. The eternal serpent, a symbol forgotten, a power remembered. Since the dawn of time, the serpent has slithered through the myths, temples, and dreams of humanity, whispering secrets not meant for the fearful, but for the awakened. It guarded the tree in Eden. It crowned the pharaohs of Egypt. It coiled around Shiva's neck and danced through the spines of yogis. It bit, it healed, it tempted, it transformed. Yet, despite its presence across continents and cultures, its true meaning has been obscured, reduced to mere villainy in modern retellings. But symbols don't lie, and history doesn't forget. Not truly. The serpent is not our enemy. It is our initiator, our mirror, and our inner fire. It represents the wisdom to know when to shed what no longer serves. It is the courage to face darkness and the grace to move through it. It is the power to transform pain into purpose, ego into essence. So the next time you see a serpent, whether carved into stone, woven into a dream, or rising silently within your spine, don't recoil. Listen. Ask yourself, what truth is it guarding? What power is it offering? What transformation is it demanding? Because the serpent doesn't come to comfort. It comes to awaken. And if you accept its invitation, if you allow it to guide you through death and rebirth, you will not emerge the same. You will emerge reborn, eyes wide, soul alight, and ancient power coiled within you, waiting to strike through stillness. Let us not fear the serpent. Let us become it. If this truth resonated with you, I invite you to explore deeper. Like, comment your thoughts and share this with fellow seekers. And if you're ready for more ancient wisdom revealed, subscribe, because what's coming next is even more mysterious.